Hey everyone, and welcome to the Deep Dive. So today, we're going to be tackling the Roswell incident.
Yeah.
The one with the flying disc and all that. We've got a ton of stuff to go over today. Historical accounts, witness testimonies, official reports, investigations, you name it. So, if you're ready to figure out what really happened, buckle up.
It's crazy how this one event, back in 1947, still has people talking. I mean,
Okay.
there's just something about it that captures the imagination.
The granddaddy of all UFO stories. And for good reason. We're talking potential
Only.
alien
Yeah.
contact. So, let's set the scene a little bit. Summer of 47, America is in a full-blown flying saucer craze. And right in the middle of it all, we've got this rancher, Mac Brazel, in Roswell, New Mexico. And he stumbles upon some really strange debris out on his land.
It's fascinating, the stuff he found. It wasn't just, random junk. People who saw it described it as metallic and incredibly lightweight, but then also, like, super dense in spots. So dense that Brazil's sheep wouldn't even walk over it.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
really weird. And then the Roswell Army Airfield gets involved.
Yeah.
And they put out this press release saying they captured a flying disc. Can you imagine?
Oh, I bet the news went absolutely crazy. It's like something straight out of a movie.
Total frenzy.
Oh,
The story takes a sharp turn almost immediately. This higher-ranking officer, General Ramey, steps in and says, nope, it was just a weather balloon. And somehow, that's the story that stuck for years.
a classic cover-up. But of course, not everyone bought it. You had people like Major Jesse Marcel, the intelligence officer who first handled the debris. He was totally convinced that it was not anything he'd ever seen before. He said it was heat-resistant, super strong, couldn't be cut or burned.
So right away, we've got conflicting stories. Then there's Sheridan Cabot, another officer involved, whose story seemed to change over time. And then Walter Haut, the guy who actually issued that initial flying disc announcement, stood by his story, even decades later.
It's like, the more people tried to explain it, the more mysterious it became. And don't forget about the rumors of memory metal being found at the crash site.
Right, this thin metallic stuff, that could be crumpled up,
Yeah.
but would magically spring back to its original shape.
Okay.
Okay, to try and untangle this, let's break down the timeline a little bit.
Sounds good. So, we start on July 2nd, 1947, with multiple witnesses reporting a bright object with this red trail shrieking across the sky near Roswell.
And this is where things get interesting. William Woody and his dad were driving along Highway 285, and they ran into this military cordon blocking access north of Roswell. They saw soldiers and military vehicles everywhere.
If it was just a weather balloon, why all the secrecy?
Right, exactly.
Okay.
2 days later, on July 4th, rancher Mac Brazel finds the debris field on his property, reports it, and boom, the Roswell Army Airfield swoops in. Then on July 8th, we get that infamous flying disc press release, quickly followed by the retraction and the weather balloon explanation.
But the rumors of a cover-up just wouldn't go away. And as the years went by, new testimonies came out. That really challenged the official story. There's a story about a nurse who supposedly saw alien bodies at the Roswell Base Hospital. She even supposedly sketched them for this pilot named Dennis.
Wait, alien bodies.
And sketches.
I know, crazy, right? And then there are accounts of this guy named Dubose, who supposedly transported the real stuff from the crash site to Washington, D.C. in a lead-lined pouch.
Okay, so if not a weather balloon, what is the official explanation?
Well, decades later, the Air Force finally came clean. Sort of. They admitted that the debris wasn't from a simple weather balloon, but from this top-secret program called Project Mogul.
Project Mogul, okay. What's that?
Basically, it involved these high-altitude balloons equipped with microphones to listen in on Soviet nuclear tests, Cold War espionage stuff.
Ah, so they were using these balloons as spy tools. Makes sense. But something tells me there's more to this.
You're right to be skeptical. While Project Mogul might explain some of the debris, there are some pretty big inconsistencies, Books by researchers like Carl Flock and Kevin Randall point to evidence that contradicts the official explanation.
Okay, what kind of evidence?
Well, for starters, the debris descriptions, the tough heat-resistant materials, they don't really match what they typically used in Mogul balloons. So trying to make things fit, and they don't.
Exactly. And then think about the military's response. Confiscating evidence, silencing witnesses, even detaining Mac Brazel. That's a little extreme for a downed weather balloon, even a secret one.
It all points to a cover-up. But if it wasn't a weather balloon or Project Mogul, what else could it have been?
Well, that's where things get really interesting and a bit more speculative. We'll dive into that after a quick break. So we're left with this big question mark hanging over Roswell. If If it wasn't a weather balloon or Project Mogul, then what are we dealing with here?
Well, now we have to start thinking about some of the more unconventional explanations, and there are a lot of them out there.
Okay, hit me.
Hold on. Before we go full conspiracy theory, I think we need to approach this with a healthy dose of skepticism.
Yeah.
You know, it's easy to get caught up in all the excitement, but we got to think critically.
Totally. Evidence and logic.
Exactly.
What kind of theories are we talking about?
Well, you've got your classic alien theories, alien autopsy, reverse engineered technology, the whole 9 yards. Some people even believe that the government is hiding the truth about extraterrestrial life.
Oh, yeah. I've heard about those. Didn't they make a movie about an alien autopsy?
You're thinking of the one that Philip Mantle debunked in his book, Roswell Alien Autopsy, The Truth. It was supposedly footage of an autopsy being performed on an alien from the Roswell crash. Turned out to be a hoax.
Figures.
Yeah.
Why would anyone go through all that trouble to fake it?
Right. It just goes to show how powerful this whole Roswell thing is. It taps into that part of us that wants to believe that we're not alone in the universe.
It makes you wonder how much of what we believe is shaped by what we want to be true.
For sure. It's a good reminder to stay grounded and to examine things critically, especially when dealing with something as crazy as this.
Okay. So maybe not aliens, but what about other possibilities?
Well, some researchers think it could have been a terrestrial aircraft, maybe a secret experimental craft the government was testing. Others think it might have been a Soviet spy plane that crashed during a secret mission.
But those explanations don't account for all the weird details, like the memory metal and the descriptions of alien bodies.
You're right. Those are still unexplained.
Are we back to aliens?
Not necessarily. We can't jump to conclusions. Right. Just because there isn't a clear earthly explanation doesn't automatically mean it's aliens. It just means we need to keep looking for more evidence.
Right. We need to stay objective. But it is pretty exciting to think about what it would mean if it were true.
Oh, yeah. Imagine the possibilities. If we weren't alone in the universe and other intelligent life had actually visited our planet, that would change everything.
It would be a total game changer.
It would force us to rethink everything we know about life, intelligence, technology, even our own history.
It's almost impossible to wrap your head around.
I know. It's a mind-blowing concept.
Yeah. But even if the Roswell incident turns out to have a more down-to-earth explanation, it's already had a huge impact on our culture and how we see the unknown.
Absolutely. It's sparked a real passion for discovery
Right.
and a desire to understand where we fit in.
So even if it's not proof of aliens, it's still made us more curious about the universe.
Absolutely.
Okay, so we've gone over the timeline, the evidence, and explored a bunch of different explanations. But after all these years, Roswell is still a mystery. What do you think the biggest takeaway is from all this?
I think it's a reminder to never stop questioning, to never stop searching for the truth. No matter how hard it is to find, we need to be open to new possibilities, even if they challenge what we think we know.
I like that.
The Roswell incident, whether it was a case of misidentification or government secrecy or something totally out of this world, reminds us that there's still so much we don't know.
It's like we're just starting to figure things out.
Exactly. And who knows what we'll discover next?
Well, on that note, I think it's time to talk about how Roswell went from a local news story to a full-blown cultural phenomenon.
Wow.
We'll be right back after a quick break. We're back and ready to talk about how Roswell went from a local news story to this huge cultural phenomenon. I mean, it's everywhere. Movies, TV shows, books, music, video games.
It's true. Like, think about all the classic sci-fi stuff we see. Flying saucers, little green men, alien autopsies, a lot of that comes from Roswell.
It's hard to imagine sci-fi without it, but goes beyond just entertainment. There have been so many documentaries, investigations, even congressional hearings, all because of this one event. It's made us question our government, science, our place in the universe.
It's like Roswell has become this mirror reflecting all our anxieties about the unknown.
And let's not forget about Roswell, New Mexico itself. The town has become like a pilgrimage site for UFO enthusiasts and conspiracy theorists.
It's amazing how this one event turned a small town into a global destination for UFO stuff. They even have an annual UFO festival. Have you ever been?
No. But I'd love to go someday, it seems like. The perfect place to embrace the mystery.
But the impact of Roswell goes beyond just UFOs. It's made us more willing to Question authority, challenge the official narrative, and dig deeper for the truth.
It's about not settling for easy answers,
Yeah.
embracing the unknown, and being okay with not knowing everything.
And that's what keeps Roswell so interesting. It's a story that keeps evolving.
So, after diving deep into all of this, what do you think? What really happened out there in the New Mexico desert?
That's the big question, isn't it? We've seen evidence pointing in all sorts of directions. But there's no smoking gun. Maybe it was a weather balloon, maybe it was a secret government project, or maybe, just maybe, it was something else entirely.
Like we're trying to put together a puzzle, but we're missing some of the pieces.
Exactly. But I think the best part about Roswell is the journey, the exploration. It makes us think critically and come to our own conclusions.
Even if we never know the whole truth,
Right.
the search itself is valuable.
Absolutely.
Keeps us curious. It makes us want to learn more.
The Roswell incident reminds us that there are still mysteries out there. And that's a good thing. That sense of wonder is what drives us to explore.
So, it seems like Roswell is more than just a story about a possible UFO crash. It's a story about our relationship with the unknown and our desire to understand the world around us.
And our willingness to challenge what we think we know.
Well said. That brings us to the end of our deep dive into the Roswell incident. Thanks for joining us.
We hope you enjoyed it.
And until next time, keep your minds open and never stop exploring.